We, we want to move over now to local matters and focus on something we've been discussing here, cases spiking in Arizona. According to the state's Department of Health Services, nearly 124,000 people have tested positive for the coronavirus as of Monday, and more than 2,200 have died, which is just an immense loss of life in the state. Arizona reported more than 2,500 new infections on Sunday, and over the past week, nearly 27% of coronavirus tests there came back positive. That's a huge chunk of positive tests, and in fact, it is the highest infection rate in the nation. We want to bring in Dylan Smith now. He's an editor and publisher for the Tucson Sentinel. And Dylan, I can tell you, I've got friends in Arizona. My mother lives there. I check in with her each week. But all of what I've just said to me sounds like a cause for serious concern. How concerned are you?
Personally, I'm pretty concerned. I've been personally concerned this whole time. My wife, family, our reporters, we've all been hunkered down as best we can while still trying to do our jobs basically since the end of February to try and be prepared for this. But as things have spiraled over the last couple of months, I think more and more people who initially sort of brushed this off, who dismissed it, are becoming more concerned. If you look back 2 months to May 15th, when the sort of you can't really call it a stay-at-home order, but what Arizona's version of what a stay-at-home order was, we had 13,000 positive infectious cases in Arizona with 651 deaths reported as of that day. Now we're up almost 10 times that many cases in just 2 months after we've opened back up again. And there have been some measures here and there to tighten things up, but certainly nothing like what we've seen in other states that have really managed to dampen things down. We're continuing to climb. Today, there were 13,000 new infections reported with 8 new recorded deaths. But we see a consistent pattern of every Monday, the reports are down because basically bureaucrats aren't pushing paper over the weekend. So we have to look at the trend line of, over a week, over 2 weeks, over a month to really assess that rather than, little blips day by day.
So then who are people blaming for this? How do people in Arizona rate their local politicians and the federal government's response to what's happening right now?
Well, there's I guess an interesting sort of dichotomy in Arizona as far as our local officials go, because Governor Doug Ducey has essentially barred cities and counties from taking measures that are any more strict than what he allows. And for months, he refused to not only not have a statewide mask order, but he refused to allow the cities and the counties to issue their own. He finally relented on that, and a great many around the state did, but the enforcement of that is somewhat lax. It's really down to people's own individual sense of responsibility to wear masks in public. Most of the regulations don't come with any enforcement, no penalties. So we see a lot of people out in public who are very strident about not wearing a mask, and some confrontations over that.
So you wonder how all of this might manifest itself politically at such a key moment. Our CBS News Battleground Tracker poll released over the weekend shows that effectively the presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden is statistically tied with President Trump in what has traditionally been a reliably red state. So do you think that speaks to an increasing trend? We've discussed Arizona becoming purple for many years, but could this push Arizona to the left?
This may well be, I wouldn't say to the left. Arizona is a pretty socially conservative state, but it may push Arizona into the Democratic column this year, not only in the presidential race, but in the U.S. Senate race that we're having. It might be a factor. So many people in Arizona already vote early. Mail-in balloting is about 80% of people in Arizona. So the pandemic having an effect at the polls themselves is not so much something that might happen, but people's perceptions of what's going on and people's reality of what's going on, especially as we have more months of this to come, will definitely play a role, and we can really see, a partisan divide in how people have approached this over the past months, not just amongst the politicians, but amongst politically involved people. You had a whole lot of Republicans who, if they weren't outright denying it, were certainly downplaying it. One of their big lines a few months ago was that, oh, summer's going to come and the heat is going to kill the virus. Well, yesterday it was 113 degrees in my backyard, and cases are still continuing to spiral out of control. Whether it's absolutely enough to tip Arizona into the blue column, especially at the presidential level, is an open question. This is a pretty Republican state. You've got a lot of very politically active Republicans, but plenty of them are beginning to become wary of at least how the president and his administration, and even here in the state, Governor Doug Ducey, how they have handled this pandemic.
And just in our last few moments here, I think you're seeing that play out, according to our battleground tracker, in the Senate race between Mark Kelly and Martha McSally. Martha McSally, the Republican incumbent. Our battleground tracker showing Kelly is leading the Republican incumbent right now. What do you make of that?
Even before COVID-19 broke out in Arizona, this was going to be a pretty tight, tough, hard-fought race for both of them. We've still got some time left to go, but Martha McSally is the candidate who lost the last U.S. Senate race in Arizona. She was then appointed almost immediately to fill an open seat. But that time around, it was a very narrow race. It took, well past Election Day for us to declare a winner in that. This time, we're seeing a much wider spread. Certainly, Mark Kelly is a different kind of candidate than Martha McSally faced last time around. He himself is a former combat fighter pilot and an astronaut, and the husband of Gabby Giffords. So he has had a level of favorable name recognition, except for maybe from some gun rights activists, for quite some time before he threw his hat into the political ring.
Well, we'll continue to watch that closely. The only thing I don't miss about Arizona is that oppressive heat. Dylan Smith, editor and publisher for the Tucson Sentinel. Thanks. It's a dry heat. You enjoy that AC and stay inside. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.